Welcome to the second edition of the CSW Pre Show. Here we are going to preview everything that we are to expect this week on CSW. Hopefully you guys are ready for all the action because we definitely have an action-packed lineup ready for you guys. So let's get into it. We're starting the evening off really heavy, and that's no joke to these guys' weights. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, piss off anybody here, but we are starting the evening off with the Global Hardcore Championship match between Kevin Owens and Keith Lee. Now, as you guys may or may not know, the Global Hardcore Championship is to be defended on a weekly basis, whether it be on CSW or whether it be on ECW. At least once a month, we have a match between brands, between CSW and ECW. Battle of the brands for this title. Basically how it works is if Kevin Owens, who is representing ECW, wins this match, the Global Hardcore Championship is then transferred to ECW. If Keith Lee wins, then the title stays on CSW for at least another 4 weeks. So, pretty big match for both brands here. Should be a really heavy-hitting matchup. I mean, if I'm not trying to be too biased here, but I got to pick Keith Lee here. I got to show my boy some confidence here. So, I'm going to go ahead and say that Keith Lee is going to win this match, but he's not going to have any real easy task here going up against Kevin Owens. Our second matchup of the evening, we actually have a debuting free agent. So for anybody that doesn't know, CSW came to terms on the release of the Velveteen Dream, and in return, we picked up this man off of free agency who will be making his debut against Dolph Ziggler. We have Jinder Mahal making his CSW debut against a former heavyweight champion in Dolph Ziggler. Now, that being said, Dolph Ziggler did have a pretty surprising and pretty good run on the 2K19 era of CSW. Obviously, he's a really good wrestler. He's a heavy hitter. I don't really know what to expect with this matchup because, well, this is Jinder Mahal's first time debuting on CSW and, for that matter, on any show. He's been stuck on free agency for a really, really long time. So, who knows what to expect here? We might get a really good matchup from Jinder. We may end up getting a squash by Dolph Ziggler. If I had to guess, I'm going to give Jinder the benefit of the doubt here and say that he ends up winning his debut match against a former heavyweight champion and giving himself just a little bit of momentum going into the future. Our third matchup of the evening, we have a number one contenders match. Now, originally this was just a one-on-one match, but I decided we are going to make this a number one contenders match for the women's championship. We have Becky Lynch going one-on-one with Dakota Kai. Now, as you guys know, or as you guys may have seen last week, whether it be live on Twitch or on the YouTube replay, both these women picked up a victory last week on the show. Dakota Kai, a very, very huge victory over the women's champion Rhea Ripley, and Becky Lynch ended up getting the win over Alexa Bliss? I think it was Alexa Bliss. So, I decided that because these two had such impressive victories last week, one of them is going to be getting a future women's championship opportunity. And if I had to make a guess here, if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to go with Dakota Kai here because, for whatever reason, don't know what happened last week, but she absolutely mopped the floor with our women's champion, Rhea Ripley. So, it may be a little bit different with Becky Lynch, but I fully expect that this match will be really good, and it may not be as one-sided as Dakota versus Rhea, but I still think Dakota's going to pick up the win here. Zane, what is going on? Welcome on in CSW time indeed. Speaking of our women's champion, she will be involved in our fourth matchup of the evening. It will be Rhea Ripley going up against Bianca BelAir. Now, Rhea obviously, she needs to come back from what happened last week, because I kid you not, you can go back and look at the episode from last week. She did not get any sort of offense against Dakota Kai. So if she wants to have any sort of momentum in holding that women's championship and holding on to it tight, she needs to do something here against Bianca. She needs to pick up some sort of momentum here. I would expect that she will, but I'm not going to be surprised if Bianca BelAir is able to pick up a victory here and maybe make the argument that she should be #1 contender for the CSW Women's Championship. I still need to make a command for that, by the way, Zane. I totally forgot about that. I need to make a command for that. Our 5th matchup of the evening. It is a non-title match, but it could become a title match very soon, especially after their impressive win in the main event of last week. We had the current tag team champions, the TCW Alliance of Rey Mysterio and The Miz, going up against the Street Profits. Now, as I'm sure you guys may have seen last week, the Street Profits picked up a win over the New Day, and it was a very impressive victory at that. The TCW Alliance of Rey Mysterio and The Miz, well, we'll see how they can do. They were kind of slow to pick things up in 2K19 together, but in 2K20 it could be a different story. Could be a different story entirely. So, we're going to see how they do against the Street Profits. And, well, maybe, just maybe, the Street Profits can earn themselves a future tag team championship opportunity with a win here. Our 6th matchup of the evening, well, it's a non-title match, and the computer simulation kind of just slapped this match together, and I really didn't want to change it because I'm actually very curious on how this is going to go. We have a triple threat match between the global champion, Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, and Bobby Lashley. It is a non-title match, reminding you. But it should be a pretty damn good matchup. We have a former heavyweight champion in Bobby Lashley. We have a former global hardcore champion in Ricochet. And honestly, you can go either way here. Johnny's lucky that's the non-title match because it could really go either way. And if his title was on the line, might be a different story here. But I still think Johnny's going to pick up the win here. But if I had to pick somebody other than Johnny, I'm probably going to go with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley very clearly has the weight advantage here and the strength advantage in this match. So I wouldn't be surprised if our former heavyweight champion ends up picking up a really good and very much needed victory in this triple threat match. Our main event of the evening should be nothing short of spectacular, because our main event will be the current CSW heavyweight champion going one-on-one against the former heavyweight champion in Samoa Joe in a last man standing match. Now, this should be huge. This should be heavy hitting. This should be nothing short of spectacular, as I like to say. Last man standing, this could literally go either way. Samoa Joe very handily defeated our heavyweight champion a few weeks back. So it could be a lot of the same story. But I wouldn't be surprised if Randy Orton redeems himself and wins this last man standing match against Samoa Joe. Well, there you have it, guys. That is what we are to expect here on CSW this evening. Hopefully you guys are ready for all the action. And thank you for tuning into the pre-show as always. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the show.